Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out today's video. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as a way to record my progress as I work towards my goal of reaching a healthy weight. This is actually the second time I've tried doing this. I was having issues with the connection. I've made some changes real quick to see if it improves things, so I'm going to try to give this a go. Um, I'm going to switch over to the main real quick here. It is, and I got to move this. It is weigh-in Wednesday, and I actually already got on the scale and I weighed in today at 290.4. So I did gain about a half of a pound over the past week. I'm not upset or concerned about that half a pound. It is 2 weeks in a row that I have gained, but I also had an incredible week the week prior. And I know that not everything that is, not every ounce of weight that is on my body is necessarily from adding fat or adding weight. Your body retains lots of things. I feel like when you're stressed, your body does retain some food. And so, um, the, I, I feel like, so what happened, um, 3 or 4 weeks ago was I had gained a half pound, and then the next weigh in I lost like 7 pounds. So when I was getting ready for the stream today, I had gotten on the Discord and was looking at it, and I noticed that I had posted a photo on the Discord from um, the 19th of October, which actually was the weigh in where I gained 0.4 of a pound. And right after the stream, I got up, I got on the scale, and I weighed, and it was a pound lighter than when I streamed. So I took the photo to show, I lost a pound. The scale is crazy. I could get on the scale now, and it's probably going to tell me something different than 290.4. But when I looked at that photo from October 19th that I posted, the weight on October 19th was 295.6. And so I was 5.2 pounds heavier on October 19th than I am today on November 9th. So I'm not worried about that 5 pounds. A month ago, or I'm sorry, that half pound, the 0.4 of a pound that I was up today, uh, because in the last month I'm down 5 pounds. In the last year I'm down 30 pounds. In the last 2 years I'm down 230 pounds. So right now I know that this part of my weight loss is the slow part. It is the long, drawn out, dragging part of the weight loss. Um, and so I'm happy that I'm still under 300 by a ton. Like, that was such a hurdle for me. Really, almost all of the second year was to get to the point where I was under 300 pounds. And so now I'm under 300 pounds, and I'm comfortably under 300 pounds right now. Um, And then, yeah, Plant Powered Peddler says here, it's not that you actually gained, your body's just adjusting to that fast 10 pounds that you lost down from the 300. Yes, it was, I'm, you know, totally happy with where I'm at with it. And I have had a lot of stress. The stress of getting my computer working and doing the streaming was some stress, but I also have a lot of stress with work itself and life in general. So, um, I think, that extra half pound, I believe that when you're stressed, your body holds on to the food that is in your body. And so to me, it makes sense for your body to do that because, there's lots of reasons for stress. But the one thing that was always common when our ancestors were evolving was food scarcity, and that so that is um, understandably, one of the things that our body holds on to is the food that we have in our body. And so, can I show the picture on the 19th? Well, I guess I can show, yeah, it's a little bit goofy here. Well, I could show the photo, but what I can do here is I can switch over here, and this is the Discord page here. If anybody wants to join our Discord, this is the weight loss check-in here. I just kind of did a thing today. Wayne had checked in and said that he's going in the wrong direction and he gained some weight, but this is the weight from October 19th, showing the 295.6. And so that was less than a month ago that I had that. So let me switch back to this and switch this back over here, this over here, just all kinds of stuff everywhere. So the Carrie says hi again. Yes, I'm back. I bet you'll have a great, yeah, I really feel like I'm going to have another whoosh kind of weigh-in coming up soon. I have also, I've been paying attention to the food I've been eating, and I do feel like that my intake of potatoes had gone down. That I was eating, I've been eating a little bit more variety in my diet. And so that may have some effect on it. But yeah, I'm anticipating having a huge weight loss in an upcoming week here. And for me right now, I kind of am playing a little bit of a numbers game in that, I have about 70 pounds now to lose to get to my goal weight, and I almost have 12 months. So I'm looking at needing to lose about 6 pounds a month. And so it's, as long as I can get down a pound or two each week, or have some weeks where I lose 4 or 5 pounds, but as long as I'm losing the weight month to month, then I'm going to be satisfied with how things are going. If I notice a month from now things aren't going the way I want, then I'm going to have to make some changes. But I'm really happy with how things are going right now. Plant Powered Peddler says no more nut butter, just to be sure. Yes, I should avoid the nut butter to keep that out of my diet. The cashews were probably more of an issue in the past few weeks than the nut butter. We had a recipe that Carrie had bought cashews for, and I made sure to eat all the cashews before she used them in the recipe, so she had to get more cashews. So the cashews could have an effect on it some, but I'm not eating pounds and pounds of those foods at this point. When I first started, I was eating a lot of cashews and a lot of nut butters, and I could get away with it when I was 400 pounds. But now that I'm under 300 and I'm still working towards losing weight, I can't get away with it. If you're looking to maintain, then, that might be something that you can have. But for me right now, it's about the weight loss. Pretty Girl's mom says that you always get on and off the scale 2 or 3 times. After 2 that agree, you use that as your true weight. Yeah, I do that a lot too. I get on it, and if I'm not happy with it, I'll weigh again. And if it surprises me, I'll weigh again a lot of times too. But a lot of times I do take the average of them, but when I do the videos here, I just kind of go with one shot and go with what it says. So that's kind of how I do it. Sonia's asking, have I thought about adding some physical activity to help increase your energy expenditure and therefore increase your calorie deficit? Yes. That is something that I really have avoided doing any specific physical activities, like going to the gym 3 times a week or going for a walk a half hour each day. I have been trying to become more active in my life, and I'm definitely more active in life than I was at 520 pounds. Um, I I did work out some back in 2021. I did a sprint triathlon, which is like a triathlon, but it's shorter distances. It was like a 400 or 500 meter swim, a 15-mile bike ride, and a 5K run. And I did work out and I trained for that. Um, and as I get closer to reaching my goal, I may have to increase that kind of extra activity that I need to do in order to get that, like you said, get that calorie deficit. Um, those calories, uh, for me, the food is what I'm focusing on. And I'm trying to do this as best as possible on the plate because I really find that was what got me fat. And if I don't fix the plate, then I'm not going to be able to stay thin even when I get to my goal weight. That's something that, even though the gym and working out isn't necessarily, uh, it helps people lose weight, but if it's the only thing that's putting you at the deficit and then something happens where you can't go to the gym, then, you know, you end up eating, you have to change things. Anyways, um, the, Pretty Girl's mom says that they didn't lose anything this week yourself, which is fine, like, but not gaining is nice too. If that means you didn't gain any weight, that's amazing as well. Um, then the It's a success, and for me right now, the successes are in staying compliant to my diet. And uh, that is the focus for me right now is that staying compliant to the diet, not eating anything with the added salt, oil, and sugar. I say that, and then dinner last night had something with coconut. I can't remember what the issue is with chickpea tikka masala, but that's what we had for dinner last night. We had definitely a different version of it than we've had in the past. Let's see. Sonia says that you find upping your steps to 10K a day really makes a huge difference. I have noticed that my steps are increasing. I haven't taken the time to download it onto my app, but um, I noticed yesterday I was at about 8,700 calories. It kind of, or 8,700 steps. I'm sorry. Um, on my watch at one point that it alerted that I was doing more steps. And uh like that's crazy, for me to do 8,700 steps. I'd have to go back and look at the videos that I did when I first started this, because um I did a lot of tracking with my Garmin watch on my steps. And the just having a hard time thinking right now. The steps were really low. Like because one of the things that helped kind of push me to do this uh, thing to start worrying about my health was that I had purchased this Garmin watch that it was tracking my heart rate. And so when I would go up a flight of steps, my heart rate would go up like 50 or 60 beats per second, and I would be winded, and it'd be kind of, crazy how much it would spike for little things. Like when I was sitting and not doing anything, my heart rate was pretty good, but it was the second I got up and was being active, it would spike. And so that kind of helped make me realize I needed to do something. One of the things that this watch was doing was tracking my steps. And when I compare, when I look at those steps, it was less than 3,000 steps a day that it was tracking. And this watch isn't even very good at tracking steps, so it was probably counting extra steps at that time. And just daily life, I'm 2 to 3 times more active, which is great. And I may find that to lose these pounds at the speed I want to, I may have to become a little bit more active. Carrie said that the chickpea tikka masala had coconut milk, which is high in saturated fat. I was going to pull up real quick. I don't know that I have a ton of photos or that they are that impressive. I think all the photos I took for food yesterday was that chickpea tikka masala. It was a different recipe than we've ever made before. I was laughing because Carrie was like, I got these chickpeas, I don't know what to make. And I was like, well, you could make chickpea tikka masala. And then she got making it and she's like, well, I don't have spinach or enough tomato, because there's a lot of tomato in it usually the way we make it. And so she subbed in broccoli and something else. And the result was really amazing. Like, it was more broccoli in my day, which I'm not complaining about, which is really a weird thing for me to say into a camera, that I enjoy the broccoli that I had in the meal. But yeah, there's onions, a little bit of tomato, the chickpeas, and some broccoli in there with some of that coconut milk, I think is what it was. Our Tiny Acre says here that you had gained 5 pounds, but you think that the water weight, since the doctors were making you drink more for some tests. Yes, that absolutely can. Right. There's all kinds of things that affect our weight at this moment. Like, my weight is affected at this moment because of this. And that can cause huge swings in our weight. And it's more about the whole of it. It's more about the weigh-in today compared to the weigh-in a month ago, compared to the weigh-in a month before that, or even a year before that. It's not today compared to yesterday. When like I weigh in daily, I know that can be a trigger for people and can cause issues for people. And if it is, I would encourage you to step away from the scale if it's causing you more stress by getting on it. But I have always had a relationship with the scale. I felt that I have been a bit indifferent to it. It's, from when I was in high school, we used to have to weigh in all the time for wrestling, and I was always the fattest kid that ever got on the scale all the time. And so it's not, and then over the course of this process, I've kind of also become more comfortable with accepting the scale for what it says today. And it's, sometimes it's frustrating to have that, but to me, it's more important to have the knowledge, because when I don't have the knowledge, when I put the scale away, which I did try to do at one point about a year ago, or maybe more than a year ago, when I put the scale away, then I don't have any accountability. Like, that the scale keeps me accountable each day to keep going and keep it going in the direction I want it to go. Cindy's asking if I do any breathing or meditation to reduce my stress. No, I have read some books. One of the books is the Wim Hof method, where they talk about breathing. I've done his breathing like in random times over the past, year or 2 years since I read the book. But I don't stop and say I'm going to do 20 minutes of meditation or 10 minutes of meditation. One of the other things that I want to figure out how to get into again is also yoga. I did that a lot when I lost weight 8 or 9 years ago now. 9 years ago now. It's crazy. That I was doing yoga a lot at that time, and I really enjoyed doing that. I think for my stress, I need to get the stress gone. I need to deal with the things that were causing my stress, which I've gotten through many of those things. And today was a much less stressful day than the previous day. So, yeah, Sonia says the biggest thing is to make the activity something that you like to do, that you'll stick to forever as part of your life. And that is part of what I guess I have done. Like I don't miss an opportunity to do more steps. Like when I go and park at a store, I park away from the door kind of pretty far. It's a twofold thing. I have a truck that's ridiculously large and it's hard to park in tight parking spaces. And then I also have been wanting to increase just the activity, even if it's like you're kind of saying, just do more activity, just get your metabolism to burn 1 extra calorie a day or a couple more calories than it did the day prior. And so I have a hard time with the getting into a specific thing and making a routine of doing that specific thing. Because I really feel like I'm so busy with all kinds of things I'm doing. For me to put that aside would I would have to sacrifice time in other spaces that I'm not necessarily willing to sacrifice that time right now. So, but yes, make sure if you're going to do activity that it is something that you enjoy doing, that you'll stick with doing, that, even on days when you don't want to do it, you're able to talk yourself into doing it. There's a lot of exercises and there's a lot of people out there that start programs and they are doing things that they continually dread and they don't enjoy at any point in the process. And so when an opportunity comes to skip or to miss, it makes it much easier. If you're doing something that you enjoy to do, you enjoy doing, when something gets in the way, then it makes it harder. And so you have more motivation to stay on track and to make it part of your life. Tennis and Yoga Girl says that 2 minutes of simply focusing on your inhales and exhales are very relaxing and reduce stress. You're doing great. You have a positive attitude and willingness to keep learning. Thank you. Yes. And I can't really say that I don't have 2 minutes, because I would have 2 minutes to do some inhaling and exhaling. And like I said, I've had moments where I've felt like I needed to breathe over the past year, where I have kind of taken some time and breathed. It's just not a regular part of my life. So, but I think it is important. And that's part of the reason why I read that book and I was interested in it at the time. So, let's see here. I showed that photo there. I had written a note somewhere. Yes. So one of the things that I was going to talk about a little bit was, resetting your perception of yourself. I think, I have had body dysmorphia in different ways throughout my whole life. And it's not like I imagine there's different levels of this body dysmorphia, but I've always felt that maybe I was thinner than I actually am, because I'm more active than somebody who is 500 pounds can be or would be. So didn't really ever view myself as somebody who was 500 pounds. But now that I'm losing the weight, it's also hard for me to let go of being that 500-pound person and the excuses that I was able to get by with without doing things. And, we went to our kids' school conferences, And uh, I went with Carrie to the conferences, and we met with a teacher that I feel like I had met before, and it was one of our older kids' teachers. But I really think that I didn't go to all of those parent teacher conferences because that was something that I would have worked a way to get out of. The likely what happened was that at a parent teacher conference, my wife had to go. At the time, our oldest kid wasn't old enough to watch the twins, so I used watching the twins as an excuse to not go and do that activity. And so then so those are just examples of the the things that were holding me back, or the things that that have changed now that I've lost weight and I'm more eager to go do things, or I'm able to do things, but I still have this weird perception that I am larger than I am now. Being 290.4 pounds is a weight that as an adult, I really can say I only achieved one time since I was 18 years old. And it was for a fleeting moment that I was this weight. It was very quickly that I had gotten to this weight because I was eating a very low calorie restrictive diet. So I was, my weight was dropping at an incredible rate, but then my diet stopped or changed at this weight or that weight. And so it was kind of an immediate rebound back in the other direction. So for me to be 290 pounds for an extended time, it's really kind of weird to me. And it's also like anybody that meets me for the first time after this point, or after November 1st, really, but anybody that meets me from this point forward will never know me as a 500-pound person or think of me as a 500-pound person. So that kind of memory of me really mostly lives in my own head. It's not really because, and it's in maybe my family's mind more, but one of my kids' teachers is a former classmate of mine. And the last time I saw him was probably when we graduated high school. And when I graduated high school, I may have been stronger, like muscular, because I was working out and I was athletic then. But I was pretty much the same weight as I am now. If I was lighter, I was 20 pounds lighter. Like when I was wrestling my senior year, the most you could weigh was 275. By the time I graduated, I was easily 300 pounds. But so anyways, I saw him, the last time I saw him was in high school. Outside of him seeing any social media posts or anything, pictures of me over the past 10 years or rumors, he would not know that I was 520 pounds at one point. And that's kind of crazy to me that, like, this whole huge part of my life, people that are meeting me from here forward won't ever know. And as I lose weight and get closer and closer to my goal, it's going to be even weirder for me, is to be at a point where there's going to be people that will only have ever known me or met me as a healthy, skinny person. And the other part of it that's kind of is the time that I'm able to stay at this weight. And the longer I'm able to stay at this weight, it kind of overrides the time that I was at 520 pounds. Like if I look back over the past, since I got down to that, my lowest weight in 2013, I've probably spent 5 to 7 years over 400 pounds. I spent 1 to 2 years over 500 pounds. And as I go forward here, I'm going to spend years at 290 pounds, or no, I'm not. I hope I don't spend years here, but I did spend a year at 300 pounds, and so, um, but 10 years from now, I'll have been 220 pounds for 10 years. 20 years from now, I'll have been this weight for 20 years. And then it'll get to a point where I've been a healthy weight longer than I was at an unhealthy weight, which that idea really just kind of blows my mind, because my whole life I've been at an unhealthy weight and eaten an unhealthy diet. So it's kind of interesting looking at the perception I have of myself and how I have to let it change. And it's not about what happened in the past or what necessarily is going to happen in the future, but about what's going on right now too. And that I'm sticking to my diet and I'm keeping things going because I can only make those choices right now. I can, in the past, I was making the choice to push it off to the future version of myself, and the future version of myself never came and started doing anything. So anyways, just kind of a ramble about being at under 300 pounds, sustaining being under 300 pounds, and realizing that at some point, me being 500 pounds will just be kind of part of my life, but it will be a small part of my life because it's only going to be 1 or 2 years. There's lots of things I've done much longer. I've run a business for much longer. I've been married for much longer. I've been a father for much longer than I was 500 pounds. And those things are all far more important than what my weight ever was or ever will be. And so it's great that I've been able to find a way to correct that and to get away from being that overweight, obese person. But still got a little ways to go, and I'm looking forward to reaching my goal. I am going to get out of here today. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with this bitrate thing. I hope that the video and the audio was working well enough for this last half of the stream. I may end up, now that I did that this way, oddly, I may end up doing a separate weigh-in for my weigh-in Wednesday and just doing a video of the weigh-in and then going live and talking about it later in the day. Because, anyways, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Cindy's asking, what is my approach with your whole food plant-based diet for your kids and them being at a healthy weight as they grow up? Yes, our kids, we do put this healthier food in front of them. And they have lots of healthy options. They eat lots of fruits and they eat lots of vegetables. Everything that they eat is vegan. There's a lot more processed and sodium in their diet than our diet. The thing with our kids, they've been amazing with being on this diet. They always check about foods. They don't ever kind of, I'm sure they get tempted, but they don't tell me if they're eating food that's outside of our diet. But we control, they're eating a lot of whole food plant-based. They don't eat the volume of food that we eat. And so that's something that is interesting to work out, because I have 4 kids and I could rank all 4 kids on, which kid eats more food, which kid eats less food. And it's funny, my youngest is definitely the one that eats more food. So when she says things to me like I'm hungry or I want something to eat, like last night in particular, Carrie wasn't home and my daughter was hungry, and so she had a bowl of corn for a snack last night, because I know she's gotten plenty of calories and she's gotten plenty of food because that's her MO, that she eats enough food. So when I give her food, I do try to make the food I give her less calorie dense foods, because she eats the most, she retains the most weight on her body of all of the kids, and it's just her genetics, like that's part of this, that I have my genetics and Carrie has her genetics, and it's very easy to assume our kids are going to have our same genetics, but they don't all necessarily do. Or if they do, they've been given a much lower calorie diet than I was given as a kid or my wife was given as a child, because I was much heavier and overweight than my kids. If anything, yeah, all my kids are really a healthy weight and height. They're, the one is on the heavier side, but not in any way would be considered overweight. So yeah, it's kind of, we are introducing them to healthy diet choices. We are putting healthy food in front of them, and they are, the thing is, they're going to eat what you put in front of them too. If we really wanted to get real strict and militant about things, then we would go through a portion of time where our kids would probably not eat very much, but eventually they would get hungry and they would eat what's in front of them. But we haven't got to that point yet. And it's really hard to please 6 palates with 1 meal too. Like that's something that because my kids will choose not to eat rather than eat something that's not very high responsive foods or very flavorful foods. For me, if Carrie makes the meal and the rice is a little bit hard or, al dente, I don't have a problem with it. One of my kids would probably not eat because the rice wasn't soft enough. And, or I have other kids that won't eat something because it has a piece of spinach in it, and I try to convince them that you got to try this food. You got to get it in your body so your body understands the nutrients that are in it, so that it can send the signal to your brain that that's good food. So the next time it touches your tongue, instead of getting that bitter taste or that taste that's not enjoyable, your brain will be like, hey, our stomach said that that was good food. So it'll change your taste buds over time. So yeah, anyways, I hope that answered your question. Barb says, keep up the great work. And I am going to get out of here for real this time. If you have not, click the subscribe button. Click that subscribe button. If you have not clicked on the bell icon, click on the bell icon. And if you have not hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up. And I'm going to add another one. If you haven't commented down below, leave a comment down below. Let me know how you're doing. Ask a question. Just help out that YouTube algorithm. And finally, if you haven't started your diet yet, get started right now. There's nothing coming up that is more important than your health and your overall well-being. Nobody gets to the goal weight and looks back and says, I wish I would have waited. Everybody looks back and says, I wish I would have started. I wish I would have known how good I was gonna feel. I would have done this years ago. I'm not even to my goal. And I'm upset with myself that I didn't start the first time I saw that I was over 500 pounds. Because if I did, I would be at least 6 months further along than I am now. So get started right now. Nobody regrets it. You guys all have a great day.